of a funny old live, this one, because it's 11 o'clock and I've been trying to do these live videos earlier in the day, but today I am travelling and I've come to London, oh, covered in fluff. So it is at 11 o'clock, but it is what it is, and I'm showing up. So today's blog post is all about mindset. It's day 4, and here are my thoughts. So I'm going to keep this one fairly short because then it's time for bed, basically. So in my mindset, I've definitely gone through a transformation in my thinking in the past few years. I definitely used to always think that I was right. I was a primary school teacher. I've been a primary school teacher, qualified when I was 21. So I did that job for a good 20 years and loved it most of the time. I would say I really loved it. I was really happy to keep improving, honing my craft, as it were, and try and just impart a bit of wisdom to my kiddos in my class. And really, I kind of felt that a lot of the time I knew what I was doing. I had a really strong sense of, I feel this is right and this is what I want to do and this is how I'm going to do it. So, unless there was really substantial evidence, even on teacher training that I went on, I would basically just do my own thing. And I did try and find people who were like minded. And there's definitely different styles of leadership and teams and schools of thought within the teaching, the education world. But yeah, that's kind of who I was. And even though I would say I celebrated mistakes in the classroom, because I did learn over time, especially once I had a baby and I had less time to dedicate to um, my students, I kind of became more real and less perfectionist mindset. Um, and actually, I kind of was like, oh, making mistakes is important. We need to model mistakes for kids so they grow up realizing that making mistakes isn't a normal thing. But I feel like my mistakes were either relatively inconsequential or almost like they were planned. So, yeah, some of the time, like at the time, it didn't feel like they were always a minor mistake. But if they felt like a major mistake, like a sort of an unplanned one, and something really went more wrong, I definitely felt out of control and like a much deeper level of shame. And it would have been like I let people down who were in front of me, and I didn't want to be that person. So it was, I had what I would say now, looking back and reflecting, I had a fixed mindset. And I meet a lot of people who think they have a growth mindset, but actually have a fixed mindset, because that was me. Um, and fixed mindset, I think, assumes that you have very little control over your life. It assumes that you just kind of go along with life, and life is something that happens to you rather than something you can influence. It goes along with majority thinking, it goes along with social views. So, fixed mindset very much had me filtering social media photos. It made sure that I was taking photos of my good side, very rarely without makeup on or kind of looking my best. Even if I didn't feel I looked my best, I would somehow influence that. And then it would also have me counting likes on posts. So basically, fixed mindset had me feeling quite trapped in my life, and I didn't know how to get out of a cycle that I knew something was wrong, but I wasn't sure how I could change it. Um, So, what happened? There was a catalyst, clearly. And for me, it was the murder of George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement resurfacing in 2020 in a major way for a lot of people. And certainly, I was one of the people who noticed on that time that it came forward. And once I started reading and once I was unlearning, I definitely kind of had little cha-ching moments in my brain, and I was thinking, oh, do you know what? I've just been following these fixed pathways. These are easier, and actually, in order to grow, you have to forge new pathways, and forging new pathways is harder. Like if you think about walking through a jungle, if you stick to the path is easier. If you're cutting yourself a new path, that's seriously hard work. So that's the thing that we have to do in order to discover new things about ourselves and other people. You have to cut those new pathways, and it's hard work. Like, I think that growing mentally is difficult because it's not tangible. It's You can't pick it up, whereas when you're building muscle, it's measurable. You can quantify it, you can see it, you can weigh it. You can't do that with your mind. So I was thinking about a seed, and if you think about a seed planted in the winter or this time of year in the autumn, it goes underground and it just sits there under the ground, surviving cold conditions. And even in the dark winter months, that seed is there and it's working under the ground. It's doing something. And we don't see those moments when it's under the surface. It doesn't give up though. Eventually, in the springtime, it pushes up through the surface of the soil, and that's the part that we see. So, I don't know, I think there's a lot of growth in a growth mindset that's like the seed. So, you have to do a lot of that work that happens inwards without anyone else seeing until you've kind of finally shifted your mindset enough that your values and things come out in a different way. I might not be making sense. Maybe I shouldn't be alive at this time of day, but it is what it is. So during 2020, Roller Girl Gang became a much bigger online shop and had a much greater online presence than previous to the pandemic. And I, for one, made a lot of mistakes. None of them planned, not one. It was a very hard time, and I had to put my ego and my pride to one side and rectify all the mistakes. And I can remember typing emails to customers and apologizing over and over for things that were definitely beyond my control, but equally there were things that weren't, that I had made mistakes on. And I can remember feeling hot, my chest feeling tight, my shoulders feeling tight, having loads of headaches, and kind of just thinking, oh, I've lost like another customer. These people are just going to go and find somewhere else with people who know what they're doing. And I think I was really shocked with how much compassion came back from customers. I was definitely expecting people to walk away and they didn't. And that really was a massive shock. So I continued unlearning. I continued trying to challenge my belief system because I realized that it was an important pathway that I started on. And once I'd started cutting down the jungle, it kind of became easier. Um, I consumed a whole load of podcasts. I read a load of books. Um, Educators like Chris Voss, Brené Brown, Gary Vee, Priya Faith, Sonia Renee Taylor, and so many more people. Africa Brooke is one as well. They were just really speaking a language that I could finally access. So, throughout last year, 2021, I started to reframe how I viewed making mistakes. in business specifically, and I realized that they were really necessary. They were much bigger mistakes than I'd ever made in my teaching career. They were significantly more expensive, um, because yeah, they cost me financially and in time. Although I guess the mistakes that I've made in my teaching, I don't know. I can't measure the impact of that. I don't know the impact of that. Um, I hope that it won't have had a lasting impact on the young people in my charge at the time, but it's difficult to say. I think because they were kind of mostly planned, I'm not sure what the impact of that would have been. Um, but yeah, I mean, I heard a phrase of quite a few years ago saying wisdom is hard earned and it's either expensive or painful or both. And certainly the things I've learned in business were very expensive. So this year in 2022, I started working with a therapist because I'm ready to make sure that my old thought patterns definitely stayed past tense. Because if I don't change what I put into my life, then the outcome is going to just stay the same. So when I started working with my therapist, I was thinking I was kind of near the middle or the end of my journey. I was like, yeah, okay, I just need to kind of work on what I've done, make sure that I don't slide back. I was so wrong. So wrong. There's so much to unlearn. And wow, I've had to challenge a lot about myself. So taking the feedback that challenges me is hard. It's really, really difficult. Um, I definitely can't choose feedback that I receive from anybody, from customers, from friends, from my family. I can't choose the feedback. People just give it to me, and that's fine. But I can choose how I react to it. Um, and I do massively appreciate everyone who stuck around during the like my seed phase when I was kind of working on myself and figuring out how to grow. And I'm not sure actually if I've fully emerged yet. I don't know if it's springtime, but you know, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. And I'm really proud actually of the Learn to Roller Skate course that I filmed with Jen earlier this year, in late summer, because working on my own mental health and kind of crystallizing some of my thoughts and values and the processes has really allowed me to make sure that our approach to roller skating is a truly holistic one. And I'm actually really proud of what we created. I think the the video package that we've now got really is going to be a brilliant training tool for our coaches on their coach pathway. And it's also going to be really useful to people who want to learn and are not able to come to our physical classes. So, yeah, I'm really proud of that. And somehow I've managed to ramble on. So, that also suggests to me that this time of day is not a good time of day for me. Anyway, um, so my final question, really for reflection, was I'm interested to know if anyone else is cultivating a growth mindset and how you might be doing this. So if that's you, drop me something in the comments and let me know that it's something that I should check out, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.